Yesterday, I named my least favorite films of the year, but now it's time to really get cracking as I reveal the 10 movies this year that truly helped elevate the art of filmmaking. Starting at number 10 is a rather quiet film about two people in love just wanting to live their life wherever they please. Loving. With such a landmark case at the center of this film's story, you would think this would be more focused on the lawyers and their triumphant court speeches. Instead, director Jeff Nichols decides to focus on the interracial couple who merely wanted to marry and live in the state they grew up in. It's a touching story told with not much pomp and circumstance, as Richard and Mildred Loving certainly did not expect their marriage would change laws in not only their state, but the entire country too. Nichols directs the film beautifully, and the performances from Joel Edgerton and Ruth Negga absolutely deserve Oscar nominations. It's a film that did not receive much hubbub when it was released, but if it gets the award recognition it deserves, I hope more people will decide to give it a look. At number 9 is a funny little comedy from earlier in the year that should also warrant another look from people. Hello, my name is Doris. This is a comedy that nicely tackles the generational gap and what it means to move forward. Sally Field delivers a hilarious as well as heartfelt performance in the lead role as she deals with both the death of her mother as well as a new office crush. The way she tries to become a part of the culture of the young people in her office is both funny and sweet, but the filmmakers do not shy away from the general awkwardness of Doris becoming infatuated with Max Greenfield's character. Hello, My Name is Doris goes in some rather unexpected directions how it tackles its story, thanks to the smart script credited to director Michael Showalter and Laura Taruso, who adapted her own short film. My number 8 pick is a documentary that will sadly remain relevant for quite a while. 13th. This documentary, directed by Eva DuVernay about the 13th Amendment, is important and necessary viewing. I know that is said often about plenty of documentaries, but know that I don't throw those adjectives around lightly. The facts she reveals are quite shocking, and she also manages to mix archival footage with interview subjects, really helping to drive a lot of the points home. One sequence in which she mixes a protest during the civil rights movement with recent events is quite chilling, and how clearly those moments resemble each other. DuVernay does not let anybody off the hook, nor does she lean a specific way politically in presenting the facts of how the 13th Amendment has been manipulated over the years. This documentary is currently on Netflix, so if you have that service, it's only a click away. And number 7 is probably the funniest film I've seen this year. Hunt for the Wilderpeople. Before he went off to direct the upcoming Thor sequel, Taika Waititi made this film in his native New Zealand, and what a charmer this is. Pairing a relative newcomer, Julian Dennison, and Sam Neill, the two have excellent chemistry together as they journey through the bush. The screenplay is sharp and very funny, with some touching moments thrown in too. There's an energy to which Waititi directs this film and showcases the bond between these two. The numerous characters they encounter add to the richness and humor of this story, and the message and comedy manage to be universal while remaining distinctly Kiwi. My number 6 pick is a family film from a legendary director adapting a beloved author's book. The BFG. This sadly did not excite enough audiences to give it a look when it opened during the summer, but I was completely enchanted by Steven Spielberg's take on Roald Dahl's story of a big friendly giant befriending an orphan girl. I love how Spielberg managed to keep the Britishness of the source material intact, and their friendship is beautifully portrayed, as aided by Melissa Matheson's script, and the winning performances by Mark Rylance and Ruby Barnhill. Visually, this was also a stunner, and one sequence involving the Queen was one of the funniest of the year. This was a beautiful film I wish more people had seen. I won't have trouble finding people who've seen my number 5 choice in theaters, though. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. A lot of people consider The Empire Strikes Back their favorite Star Wars film, but I think my heart will remain with the very first Star Wars. And I think Gareth Edwards has made something that can sit proudly alongside that classic. Making it in the style of a classic war movie, you really feel like you're there with the rebels as they attempt to steal the Death Star plans. The excitement slowly builds in the first 2 acts, before we enter the amazing climax as we see these two forces, one small but mighty and loyal, and one large and monstrous as they go head to head. The little Easter eggs for Star Wars fans are nice, but I think the movie managed to work outside of the little references. I really got behind Jyn Erso and her story, and how her attitude changes through the course of the film, as nicely played by Felicity Jones. This was an enthralling adventure, and more proof we can trust Disney and Kathleen Kennedy with this legendary saga. At number 4 is a truly wonderful and almost realistic look into the teenage psyche. The Edge of 17. Making her directorial debut, Kelly Freeman Craig immediately shows she is a director to look out for. It's not so much that The Edge of 17 is really funny, which it is, but that Craig's screenplay manages to show the real heartbreak as well as the moments of cringe we experience as teenagers. The script is not afraid of pointing out the mistakes Nadine continually makes, even as we root for her and want her to continue being friends with her childhood buddy. Haley Steinfeld gives a wonderful performance, again showing that awkwardness of that time in our lives. And Woody Harrelson has a fun turn as a teacher unafraid of insulting his students when they deserve to. I think plenty of people will find something to relate to here. My number 3 pick was my favorite animated film of the year, Finding Dory. I talked in depth about this latest Pixar sequel on my countdown of favorite animated films of the year, but to briefly summarize, I found this an absolutely worthy sequel to one of my favorite Pixar films, which not only fit their usual quota of being funny and heartwarming, but manages to talk about disabilities in a way that is not insulting, and I think children with disabilities will look up to this film and to Dory as inspiration. So, wonderful job, Andrew Stanton. Every year I seem to have an entry on my list that's not on any others, and that's my number 2 choice. Rules Don't Apply. Who better to portray the Hollywood of the 1950s than Warren Beatty, who perfectly captures that time we see so often on Turner Classic Movies. Having the main romance center on a religiously devout pair of young people in love was a clever touch and adds intrigue to the storyline as well as some genuine comedic moments. Lily Collins and Alden Ehrenreich have beautiful chemistry, and I like how through the first half of the film, Howard Hughes is just in the shadows, this almost mythic figure. When he does take over the movie, I thought it was handled quite smoothly, and Beatty gave an excellent performance, showcasing that charm some of us know so well from his earlier works. This is the kind of film I could absolutely imagine being made in the classic golden age of Hollywood, and really brought me back to that time and the films of the era. Speaking of which, my number 1 film of the year is also one that succeeds in taking us back to old Hollywood, albeit with a slight contemporary twist. La La Land. Yes, the film you've heard plenty of critics and people raving about ever since it began playing at film festivals really is that amazing. From the flashy opening number, La La Land had me in its grips and never let go. The story of Maya was relatable in so many ways, and Emma Stone's chemistry with Ryan Gosling was on point. You really feel that love for each other, as well as the heartbreak that can ensue when two people with extreme artistic passions get together. Damien Chazelle directs the musical numbers perfectly, and each song is instantly memorable. Audition, The Fools Who Dream, is the standout, but other tunes like City of Stars and Another Day of Sun also work tremendously well, as does Justin Hurwitz's instrumental score. The production values are high quality, and while you can definitely see the influence of other musical greats like Jacques Demy, Gene Kelly, and even Walt Disney, Chazelle is still able to make it his own. Charming, delightful, uplifting, and beautiful, and other praiseworthy adjectives certainly deserve to be showered on La La Land, and I imagine it's a film I'll revisit many times in the future. And those Oscars I hear will be in its future, every single one rightfully belongs to La La Land. Thank you for watching this countdown, and here's hoping for more wonderful films of this caliber in 2017. See you next time.